you wish you know anything I did for you? Wanna let me get the
Remo is pop.
from you, girl. Don't you want to
Cycla.
take a difference on you? Don't you wish you know?
Red.
Yourself a modern or traditional woman?
I would say pretty traditional, for sure.
So you're traditional, but you put the man in his place.
Yeah. That's traditional when necessary.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just collecting data.
Okay.
If you dated a traditional man, would you be a stay-at-home mom?
No,
No.
I
Okay.
can't.
So you're modern traditional.
Yeah, probably a little bit of modern, yeah.
This man was a hypocrite, in my honest opinion. He really was. I didn't find anything about him to be healing. He insulted African American women on a consistent basis. One of his last statements that he said was that if you're over 38 and you haven't married or something like that, that you're no good and disposable. To me, it was a shock jock. And, you know, I hope this is teaching folks a lesson about the karma that you put out, the negativity that you put out in the world, that when karma comes knocking at your door, she might not be so kind. So, you know, the fact that he killed over real quick and was supposedly with a woman that we don't yet know the nationality. Rest in peace.
Red.
I'm not anti-transgender. I'm not anti any of these things. What I am anti is propagating your worldview on other people's. If you're gay and you can't have kids, why do you now believe it's your right to go to other people's kids and tell them how to think? If you've decided that the type of sex you want to have will prevent you from procreating, that's your decision, right? You've decided that having sex with women isn't worth it for you. You don't want to have children. You want to have sex with men. Fine, your decision, and you're entitled to it. That does not give you the entitlement to go to other people's families who did decide to have children and raise them and try and program their. Leave the kids alone. You can be as transgender as you like. Don't come talk to my kid about it. That's my child. I will program my child with my worldviews. I raise them. I pay for them. They're my kid. They're not your kid. And they're not the government's kid.
Why I don't get them the time of the day? And to be honest, in my eyes, niggas are useless. I wake up and get it on my own. I wake up and hustle on my own. I don't need a nigga, and I don't use niggas for money. You niggas never come to me as a dominant alpha. You niggas come to me as tricks. Not every girl is materialistic, my love. I want peace. And you niggas bring heartaches and pain. And then when you realize I'm independent, you get intimidated. You can't tell these independent women shit. No, you can communicate with me like a man, but you will not sell me bullshit, my love. And y'all favorite line be, why don't you have a man? Because I don't need a man. And a man want me to need him, and that just don't run in my blood.
Don't you wish you know anything I did for you?
Remo is
Let
pop.
me get the friction, baby, straight from
Cycla.
Don't you want to let me take a difference on?
Red.
Don't you wish you know?
So this is Tasha, Phoenix, Arizona, 33, real estate agent and real estate investor, has 2 children, 12 and 1, What's your zodiac sign?
I'm a Taurus. I want somebody whole, first and foremost. I don't want no broken man, no way, no shape, form. Don't come to me with no broken pockets, broken heart, broken mentality.
Does the guy got to make a certain amount of money?
Absolutely. He gotta have at least 200,000 a year. Yeah.
Hey, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining my live. I'll be introducing some clips from Kendra G and Kevin Samuels.
Good girl.
I'm cooking.
What you cooking, girl? Greens, macaroni and cheese. Colin, what you making? Cornbread. What you cooking?
I'm making some lamb chops and some mashed potatoes.
Ooh, lamb chops and mashed potatoes. Fellas, you already know she can cook. She came on cooking, child.
That is so funny. I literally was like, this lady ain't about to pick me.
We did. What's your name, honey?
Hi, Kendra. My name is Tasha.
Tasha, where you calling me from?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona. How old are you?
I'm 33.
33. What you do for a living?
I'm a realtor and a real estate investor.
Realtor and a real estate investor. You have any kids?
I do. I have 2 boys. My oldest is 12. My youngest is 1.
You have a 1-year-old?
Yes.
By the same man?
Yes.
Why y'all not together? You had a baby a year ago.
Because I feel like we got together when we were so young. We didn't really know what we wanted in a relationship. We didn't know what it entailed. And so as we gotten older, we started to grow apart. We were growing, together. So it just wasn't working out. Long
so when
story
did y'all break up?
short. In 2021.
Okay. Have you guys ever been married?
No.
No. Okay. So this is Tasha, Phoenix, Arizona, 33, real estate agent and real estate investor, has 2 children, 12 and 1. What's your zodiac sign?
I'm a Taurus.
When's your birthday?
April 20th.
Okay. I'm a Taurus baby too. We are
Really?
I'm a bit May 7th is my birthday.
Okay.
Let's get to it, Tasha. What kind of man you looking for?
So I want somebody whole, first and foremost. I don't want no broken man, no way, no shape, form. Don't come to me with no broken pockets, broken heart, broken mentality.
Wait, you said no waiting on State Farm?
I said no way, shape, or form.
Oh, no way, shape, or form. Okay.
Yeah, come to me whole. Like, I want somebody who is stable, financially literate, who is I prefer a business owner, entrepreneur, because what I do, like, I'm an entrepreneur, and I just don't feel like I would be good with somebody who is not, simply because I take a lot of risks. And I just want my person to understand the risk that is involved with being an entrepreneur. So I prefer somebody who is a business owner, God-fearing, absolutely. He has to be God-fearing. And what I mean by God-fearing is like, your Bible, what it's not, don't try to use it to manipulate me and get me to do what you want, like you actually practice. Granted, we're all gonna fall short, because I'm not perfect and I'm not gonna ever make it seem like I'm just the perfect Christian. However, I do try to, do what's right and be right with God. He has to pray. He has to know how to pray. He has to know how to lead. He has to be a good role model, because I have 2 young Black boys. So he has to be a good role model, although their father is in the picture and he's an amazing father. But if you're going to be around my kids, you got to be a good role model. Princess treatment is required. It is.
What is princess treatment? Detail what princess treatment is to you?
Being spoiled. I like to be spoiled. I like I like to be able to be soft. I like to be able to be within my feminine self. I feel like I'm at peace. I'm single. I'm at peace. So if you take me out of my element and you take me where I have to put back on my grizzly face, or I have to be this, like something that I'm not, I don't want it. I want to be able to be treated a certain way. Gifts are required, but I also give gifts as well.
Because things is crazy, man, all the way around this piece, man. I tell you, boy. Because I'm in New York, and there's a lot of stuff going on worldwide. So, especially in the United States, specifically. today I was asked a question because one of my Facebook friends she's a woman, happened to ask me, because she heard my mental health talk and or podcast, right? Because I posted up on YouTube and I also put it on my platforms as well as my podcast website. She went to the whole thing about, I seem very intellectual, this, that, and the third, whatever, why this, why that, and the third. And I basically told her, pretty much it's like this, though. I ain't saying anything rude to her because typically I would say I don't owe anyone an explanation or understanding, but because I'm me, and that's what makes me who I am. It's not so much about people accepting me and stuff like that. Like I said before, I don't want to sound like a broken record with that whole thing, but I told her the reason why I support the manosphere is because mainly I advocate for men. I don't have any hatred towards women or anything like that. I'm part of the red pill community. I strongly support that. That's going to be to the day I die. Specifically because a man shouldn't have to stress the fact or address the matter that he is a man. But in today's society, and I'm not going to blame modern women, but in today's society, whereas modern women do prefer and or want and desire, I would say want, desire, a traditional man. Specifically a high salary earning man, let's say a high value man, the men that's, in the 10% of high earners. You know what I mean? But
he got to have at least 200,000 a year. Yeah.
The thing is this, modern women weren't raised to be wives. And us as men, we sticking to our role. And today's modern women, they push more towards feminism, extreme feminism, I would say, because I would push for equal rights amongst us as people, whether you male or female. So yes, I support, feminism to that degree, but when it comes to becoming equal with like a man, because he's a man, like in the things that we do, far as a man is looked at to be a leader, provider, or protector, and these are the things that modern women want within a man. But are modern women cooperative and submissive enough? Are they friendly enough?
Being spoiled. I like to be spoiled. I like I like to be able to be soft. I like to be able to be within my feminine self. I feel like I'm at peace. I'm single, I'm at peace. So if you take me out of my element and you take me where I have to put back on my grizzly face, or I have to be this, like something that I'm not, I don't want it. I want to be able to be treated a certain way. Gifts are required, but I also give gifts as well.
You know what I mean? Will they allow a man to lead without having selective or conditional femininity? And that's the problem that they're not seeing. Maybe they do see it, modern women, I'm speaking of, not to say in a bashful way, but in a real sense, though. They struggle with allowing a man to lead unless he has this, or he has to be this way, he has to be 6 feet, he has to be in shape, he has to have his own this, his own that, right? But if you want to be equal, why are modern women so hesitant on dating down, though? Like a high value traditional man would. He could make 150,000, 250,000, but he'll still marry a woman that makes $26,000. Modern women aren't willing to do that, and that's the difference between traditional and modern women. Traditional women are aware of their roles, their femininity, their cooperativeness. And when we say submissive, we don't say it as if you're a slave or you better do this right now, or if you don't, this is going to happen. No, we're not saying it in those terms. When we say that, we mean uncontested cooperation, because husbands do submit to their wives, whether he, traditional, modern, whether he's rich or average salary earning guy or below average earning salary. It's about the reciprocation and cooperation of the understanding. Why do modern women get so upset when men say, I have standards or I have boundaries? But it's okay for them to say, I have standards, I have boundaries, right?
I want somebody whole, first and foremost. I don't want no broken man, no way, no shape, form. Don't come to me with no broken pockets, broken heart, broken mentality.
I'm not going to settle. Modern women has a big grudge with the manospheres because it's like this. A woman can never settle. When it comes to men, being outnumbered by women. Number one, men have the options, women don't. When you come to social media and guys been in your inbox, men been on your post or their inbox, guys hollering at them, hooting and this and that and the third because of how they look, how they shape, whatever the case is. But those men aren't looking to marry you and make them your wife. I mean, to make you their wives. They just want to sleep with you. Because if a woman truly did have the options she says she has, and these options are this: men that I desire after, men that I want, men that I see myself being with for X amount of years, time, or whether I would get married. Those are options, right? Because if they weren't, they would be excluded from your standards and your boundaries or whatever the case is. So let's just keep it 100. If you had options, you would settle down. Just like, for example, we always ask women this question. If you was to find your dream guy, the guy that you always wanted, this, that, and the third, and they would put her in a dilemma. Suppose he were to exercise his options, then what?
Somebody who is stable, financially literate, who is I prefer a business owner or entrepreneur because what I do, like I'm an entrepreneur, and I just don't feel like I would be good with somebody who is not, simply because I take a lot of risks. And I just want my person to understand the risk that is involved with being an entrepreneur. So I prefer somebody who is a business owner, God fearing, absolutely. He has to be God fearing. And what I mean by God fearing is like, your Bible, you know what it's not, don't try to use it to manipulate me and get me to do what you want, like you actually practice. Granted, we're all gonna fall short, because I'm not perfect and I'm not gonna ever make it seem like I'm just a perfect Christian. However, I do try to, do what's right and be right with God. He has to pray. He has to know how to pray. He has to know how to lead. He has to be a good role model because I have two young Black boys. So he has to be a good role model, although their father is in the picture and he's an amazing father. But if you're going to be around my kids, you got to be a good role model. Princess treatment is required.
You know what I mean? Or if you was to get your dream guy and he's everything that you want, would you do this? Would you do that? And they get certain responses. Well, no, I wouldn't do this because I mean, he hasn't put a ring on my finger yet. And that's the problem. Modern women aren't wives before the marriage. So it's like this. If you weren't raised to know what a man wants, to know what a man needs, what a man is, if you don't know who you are as a woman, don't even know your role, I mean, there's no such thing as a masculine woman. She can have masculine traits or she can appear to be masculine or mimic, the masculinity of a man by her attitude, her actions. Let's say she was a single mother though, and she had X number amount of kids, and she possibly was struggling. Pick the wrong dudes that have children by they consider him a deadbeat, not knowing what really transpired between the two while they're not together. They put their children, in their business, confide in their children when children should be allowed to be children and stay in their place. It's a lot of things that's going on, and the child will hold a grudge against their father from just hearing this whole thing coming from her. See, it's crazy because a single mother will raise her son to be the man that she would want her, the type of man that she would want. But at the same time, she would resent him in a manner because maybe he looks like, the father. So it's like a love-hate type of thing. It's some moms who always say, you look just like your daddy. You ain't gonna never be nothing. You act just like him. You know what I mean? Oh man, every time you make that face, you just remind me of that mother effer. Why is it that child's fault though? I mean, you chose that man to lay it down with, and then the end result was a child. You know what I mean? So what's the whole concept of, having children before marriage? And this is the thing.
Realtor and a real estate investor. You have any kids?
I do. I have two boys. My oldest is 12. My youngest is 1.
You have a 1-year-old?
Yes,
Are they by the same man?
yes.
Why y'all not together? You had a baby a year ago.
Um, because I feel like we got together when we were so young. We didn't really know what we wanted in a relationship. We didn't know what it entailed. And so as we gotten older, we started to grow apart. We weren't growing, together. So it just wasn't working out.
You know, we have a lot of women who say, I'm a traditional woman. You can pose as a nice modern woman, but you're not a traditional woman. You're not going to be modern and boom, then you're traditional. It's not going to happen. You already lived the lifestyle of a individual as an independent woman, as a boss chick, a boss babe, whatever the case is. And then now you see that your time is running out. Now you want to settle down. And the dilemma is this. This whole thing about older men wanting younger women because this, that, and the third, and 9 times out of 10, some of the answers are right. Yes, we would deal with younger women because they're more cooperative. Yes, they're more submissive, and they're more friendly. They're more fit. They're more in shape. And if you're looking for a childless woman, 9 times out of 10, it's best to catch them, while they're young, so you can create your own legacy and establish your own legacy with that woman and raise your own children. Men like that, that's in that position, they are financially stable to even have their wife stay home. And she can raise her children, their children at home. No nanny, no babysitter, unless they want to go do a little vacation or something. You know what I mean? And then that's sometimes what happens in a marriage, when that nanny raised the kids and stuff, while the mom's, she's a boss chick, she's out running her own business, her own business or doing whatever the case is. And she's not around nurturing her own children. And guess what? The husband start to take a liking to the woman and things happen. It's an affair, an entanglement, whatever you want to call it. Just like a woman can be with a business guy, all he do is work in the office, do this, that, and the third. But then she could see a guy that's real good with his hands, whether he's a mechanic, working around the house, doing something. She would be attracted to that guy, and he makes less money. So it's a whole lot, that men must know about a woman's nature, but it's a lot of things that women choose to ignore about their own nature. Whether it's instinctive, whether it's habitual, whether it was taught, whether it was learned, whatever the case is. So when you come into the whole manosphere thing and you say, oh, well, men bash women, men are this, they're misogynistic. No, it's not the case. It's that the truth hurts. And we're telling you what it is that men want. We're telling you what it is, who we are. There's no role reversals. If you're looking for a traditional man, then guess what? He's going to be the leader. He's going to be the protector. He's going to be the provider. There's no 50-50. There's no partnership. And a lot of women don't want to hear that because they've been raised as individuals. I'm going to do what I want to do. This is me. This is who I am. Accept me for me. Well, men in that position do not have to accept you because they have the options. And that's what you must understand. When you come to your sexual marketplace value and you're a single mom, or let's say you're 34, 35, but you still don't have any kids, but you want this successful man and he's in his 40s, because sometimes most women know, to give it an older guy, he's more established, more successful. They know what it's heading for. But at the same time, are you suitable for this man? I mean, you may feel as if you're 8 or 9 or 10, or you may feel as if you got it going on, but guess what? All that feedback is coming from men that's possibly low value men.
All out of whack with how men think. This is why you can't get what you want from us, because you're valuing something up here that is a used vehicle with a lot of miles. Okay. Just because you hand washed it. You were 20-year-old hot. You had 20-year-old wound. You had 20-year-old body count. You had 20-year-old trauma. You had 20-year-old experience. That's what we value. That's all it comes down to for us.
But don't you feel like with those experiences, a person can add value to their lifetime?
Men value your youth, your fertility, your purity, femininity, submission, ability to cooperate, and fitness. And all of that is at your highest in your youth. The older you get, the older you get. No product gets more expensive with time and use. Have you ever been to the pawn shop?
Yeah.
All right. You ever take something you really value to the pawn shop? And did they hurt your feelings when they told you how much it was worth?
Yes. I was like, what? Yeah.
That's you. We the pawn shop.
These guys aren't successful. I mean, yeah, they rip and run, they got money in the hood and stuff, but these men aren't successful men though, because they move different. It's not the same. This is not Pookie and Ray Ray time. So you have to understand this, it's not always about you can have it all. It's not about what you want, what you need. It's not about your desires. It's about reality, outcomes, and results. And it's going to stay that way until y'all get it together. Because successful men, high value men, men of value, they will marry out because they're looking for the best outcomes and results of their marriage. Men controls relationships and marriages. And what I mean by this is that men pursue women the majority, if not all the time, because he sees something in her. Let's say he has the right intentions, and they vet each other properly, and they say, okay, you know, we're looking for marriage. This is what it is. Okay, standards, boundaries, cooperation. Okay, and this is what it's going for. Next thing you know, they get married and they stand within their roles.
So if I'm being honest, so when I got into real estate, we were together and we started doing business together. And I feel like our relationship became more about business rather than the personal. And he's like a really business driven individual. So like he wake up thinking about business, he go to sleep thinking about business. And it stopped being romantic and it started to be like a business partnership. And I didn't like it. I don't think he enjoyed it. And I also think that we just grew apart ultimately. I think that, we did stuff to try to rekindle the relationship, but I just don't think that, God pulled us apart. Long story short, God was like, it's time to go.
There's no equality. There's no 50-50. We all know this. Because if it was 50-50 and you bump into a guy, he's making $400,000, but you're making $70,000 a year, and obviously he's not moving into your house. He's not going to pay your bills and his bills. Those men, those are simps. I'm talking about provider males, men who know their value. Let's get it understood. It's a big difference. It's not about no alpha this, no beta this, but it is what it is. Majority of men would simp. The less they know their value, the more they're simp. And that is the bottom line. But like I said, let her go half on the bills with him. Will she still want 50-50 then? Will she still want it to be equal then? Take turns doing his job. You know what I'm saying? Let's see, will she be able to handle the stress levels of being in his position, doing the things he do, working together to see what it is. Because like I said, most successful men aren't going to have their wives working for nobody, because you're not about to be bringing all that stuff from your job, from your workplace to home. And he's not having that whole work husband type thing going on either, because women do develop, and we all know this, they're emotional, some type of emotional attachment with certain men at work, their little friend or whatever, the one who they may confide in about everything. They have those attachments. Women have them in their phones and their inboxes. We know about these things. You can't hide it. We already know what it's hidden for. That's why a lot of men who are successful, they focus on themselves, their legacy, their purpose. They don't care about relationships like that to that degree. They would rather pay for it.
Would you be willing to quit your full-time job? Would you be willing to quit your full-time job to go work part-time for your man? Quit your full-time job to go work part-time for your man, and then from there, likely get promoted to wife. And overwhelmingly, women who had a vision for a future were saying, hell yeah, 8 to 5 for a job I don't like. I would much rather work 8 to 12 for my man, or 1 to 5 for my man. Why is this important? Because so many women today can't grow up. So many women today are stuck. Just like guys need to continue to develop, so many women today are still stuck.
Because it's less problems. Y'all meet up, y'all do what y'all do, and you go your way, I go mine. Whoever you go home to, whatever the case is, hey, that's between you and that person. But at the end of the day, I'm about to get back over here to what I'm doing. And that's what it's about. Men do not have to settle. Do you understand what I'm telling you? So it's not the whole thing about bashing women. It's about reality.
So you want a top earner to accept a divorcee with 3 kids. He gets no children from you, and all he gets is the part of your free time for 100% of his monogamy. Does that sound like a fair deal?
Yes.
In fucking sane.
To someone. To that what we want.
No. Buy a dog and die alone, because you keep talking about someone, and we already established we weren't going to do that. But see, that's your ego.
they've been lied to. And we know this because it's a lot of women now growing up to really find the truth about the relationship between their mother and their father. They show so many episodes about how a woman can say something and they see that she's apparently lying, but the world will really believe her until the truth really comes out and say, oh yeah, well, I lied because this, that, and the third. I felt I was a better woman. She didn't, she never done anything. I made all that stuff up. You know what I mean? It happens. They do it all the time. You know what I mean? It's nothing new. I mean, it is what it is. If you can't take accountability, and that's the problem. A lot of modern women lack accountability. They lack a whole lot of things when it comes to being a wife. And that's the problem. They don't like the standards. They don't like being rated, but they can rate a guy. They can have standards on a guy. You know what I mean? They don't want to accept the guy because he's in this position, but they could be in the lower position of the guy they desire after, but that's supposed to be okay.
When God says time to go, time to go.
She is.
And I feel like my husband somewhere eating taco salad, y'all. He gonna be so happy when he find me.
Oh, you gonna upgrade him from taco salad to lamb chops.
I'm telling you, he gonna be so happy.
Okay. So this is Tasha, Phoenix, Arizona, 33. What's the age range you would date?
I would say like 35 to maybe 45.
Okay. Do you want more kids?
No, I don't. I prefer that he come with his own. Okay, I prefer if he has a daughter. I want a little girl so bad. So if I don't, yeah. So have a daughter.
Do you you said he can have kids. Do you want to get married?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Does the guy got to make a certain amount of money?
Absolutely. He got to have at least $200,000 a year. Yeah.
Okay. 200K. So 150 is not even enough for you.
Really, just because I don't want anybody, like, if I'm being honest, I don't want anybody who makes like less than me. I really feel like when it comes to like the woman that I am, granted, I can't speak for nobody else, but I feel like I want to be able to hold my man to a certain caliber. I want to respect him and I want him to feel like he's the king. So if I'm making more than him, I don't think that he gonna get what he's looking for from me.
So are you essentially saying you wouldn't respect him as much if he made less money than you?
Oh yeah, because you're a man, you're supposed to provide and protect. No, we're supposed to provide, lead, and protect the women that we choose to have as wives and create our legacies with. That's it. Wherever other man you got with, he didn't do his part, then hey, he just left you over to somebody else. And that's why they call them leftovers. Because think about it. Most women want companionship. I don't care how busy they are. Some women still want to be held, want to still hear a man's voice, feel a man's touch. We know these things no matter how hard you try to play.
But given what women want out of a relationship...
Women don't know what they want.
Here we go.
They don't. The women think they want things and then they get them and they leave the dude. Women don't have a clue what they want. I want a guy who's sweet and sensitive and takes care of my needs and thinks about me, but they're all out there. None of you are with them. Why? Because women don't want that. Women don't actually want that. Women want to be with a man they respect. Women are only going to enjoy the time with and end up feeling in love with a man they genuinely respect. And unfortunately, to be respected, some of the qualities are detrimental to the overall relationship's, let's say, happiness. I know loads of women who are with a dude they hate, but they respect him. Like, he makes me so mad, but he's the G. And they stay with him, as opposed to the woman who's like, well, he's so nice to me, but and leaves.
Either you accept reality and the truth, like Kevin Samuel said, God rest his soul, or die alone. And I do not have a problem telling you that. I do not, because it's just reality. How many of us have relatives that passed away, our aunties or whatever the case was? Where was their husband? Where was their boyfriend? They was there alone. The only people that were there were family. And so, I mean, come on now. It's not all by choice, no nothing. It's whether you're suitable, whether you're cooperative, whether you're feminine enough for the men that you want. That's what it's about. So y'all can say we want younger women because of this. We want younger women because of that. I tell you what, a 26-year-old would be more successful than a 35-year-old hitting geriatric pregnancy, giving a man 3 kids or 4 kids, regardless of who have triplets or quintuplets, or whatever the case is. It's just, and they both can be in the same, health category and everything. That woman that's younger can give that man more children to fulfill his legacy throughout the next 9 years by the time she's 35 versus that woman being 44. Imagine the type of trauma that woman experienced being with different men, trying to find out who she are, who she is, who she want to be with. She picked the wrong guy this, the wrong guy that. I mean, come on now. And younger women possibly do it too, but it's 9 years is the big difference.
If you're solely reaching out to a female because she's 22, and I know she hasn't had previous relationships to change her mind and think, oh, not a certain type of way, then that's kind of weird. Like,
because that experiences tend to make women build a wall and act a certain way towards men and be more combative.
We have to get into the space where we allow men to actually have preferences without always trying to shame them and trying to assume that they meant something that they may not have meant. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like
that's 9 years of additional trauma, 9 years of additional bodies, 9 years of having kids by 2 or 3 different men. And this is the manosphere, and this is what it is. If y'all really want to know what men want, who we are, what men's supposed to be, ask us, and when we tell you, listen, because you're not going to have it your way. You want us to lead, then you better bow down. And I'm saying that with all due respect. What I mean is get off your high horse. We're not equals. Okay? You could be equals with your relationship, your boo, your bae, your cuddle buddy, whatever. But when it comes to men looking for husbands looking for wives, we're not equal. Accept that. You're going to have to, because you're still denying it. And look, you're still single. You're still dating this dude, that dude. And then you figure, well, I'm too young to settle down. But look how many men you got flapping on top of you, though.
Being bottom of the barrel.
Not only do they not respect the wives, but then they call the wives pick me.
Right, exactly. They don't respect the wives, but they want all this respect. But a woman who wants to be a wife, a housewife, that wants to be submissive, they want to holler. They talk about Kevin Samuels.
They shame those women.
They're excited Kevin Samuels when he dies. Now they're excited because they discovered the stuff he talked about with men and how he could try to get men together. And I spoke about it because he was a personal friend of mine. But you don't respect us, but then you want all this respect, but your is open for consumption. Like, no, you don't respect a wife. You be ready to be a side chick. You will take that man's money. You will steal him from his wife. You will do whatever it takes to get $1. And because your mind is degraded and your mind is gone and your mind has been snatched into hell, you're Middle Earth.
Traditional men values a woman's womb. That's why they say childish. That's why those are within the first 5 purposes. We don't want to deal with another man's problem. We're not going to deal with having limited discipline. That's not going to happen. We're not going to be robbed or deprived of our masculinity. It's not going to happen. I will have more leverage raising my children with my wife. Why should I come in and be a stepfather? Why should I sin? Why should I take my $150,000 for the next 18 or 20 years to invest in another man's child when this woman can just walk away?
The shape it is today is because you ladies have dropped the ball on your social skills. Ladies, you're responsible for the teaching and transmitting of the culture. You don't like the fact that chivalry's dead. You don't like the fact that men are trying to Netflix and chill and swipe left and try to hit. Like it or not, you've made it this way. Many women today have the social skills of a 6th grade boy. Women are walking around cussing like men. Big as men. Shout out to Obsidian, big and violent. You're not ladies, you're not feminine. You're not the women that your grandmothers or great grandmothers and people were.
Why should I be willing to lose in the end? Why should I be a nice guy? When women don't even want the nice guys. They have the nice guys, they cheat on them, or they block them, or they call them weirdos, or they leave them on read. You know what I mean? They don't want those type of dudes until they want to be saved.
Yeah.
Okay. 200K. So 150 is not even enough for you.
Really, just because I don't want anybody, like, if I'm being honest, I don't want anybody who makes like less than me. I really feel like when it comes to like the woman that I am, granted, I can't speak for nobody else, but I feel like I want to be able to hold my man to a certain caliber. I want to respect him and I want him to feel like he's the king. So if I'm making more than him, I don't think that he gonna get what he's looking for from me.
So are you essentially saying you wouldn't respect him as much if he made less money than you?
I'm not saying that, but I feel like I know that, you know, sometimes men have it's like it could be intimidating dating a woman who probably does make more than them. I have had guys who I was like dating and I made more than them, and it was intimidating. Like, and they were real it just wasn't fun. Like when it came to financial conversations, it wasn't fun because they thought I was judging them, and I wasn't. But it just wasn't pleasant.
You have other women that's in better position to be wives than modern women are to be wives to traditional men. Now, they say 80% of the divorces that are, transpiring in the African American community, 75% of those divorces are enacted by women, and 5% are filed by men. What does that tell you? Use common sense. And this is why when black men become successful, they tend to date and marry outside of modern women. Go figure.
Okay. How that gonna happen? Because today, women are too impressed with themselves. Y'all all think y'all special. You all think y'all think you're special. You think you're the sugar honey iced tea. And you tend to hear these terms, women, because they can do adult things. I pay my rent, I pay my car note, I pay my food, I buy my shoes. Congratulations, you're a functioning damn adult. But women want credit for that like it's big, like it's something. So because they're a functioning adult, they want credit for that because they went to school.
I'm a PhD.
Nobody cares about your PhD. And I hear this bullshit about women are outpacing men in college, and especially black women. Yeah, let them say whatever they want to. Ask them what their net worth is. Most have a negative net worth because they got their masters, their PhD. They're making $100,000. Yeah, but how much student loan debt in? How much is your household debt? What's your consumer debt? Negative net worth means the things you want credit for ain't working.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to touch on that. Now, fellas, for those of us, who have PhDs, that was dual majors at that have dual PhDs, dual masters, dual bachelors, dual associates, imagine how much that costs. I know personally that runs over almost $300,000 in student loan debt. I mean, you may not be responsible for all of it, depending on how much you're making. If you're going to school, like if you're working and stuff, a lot of that stuff does get applied to your tuition. But for those who didn't have jobs, they went to college like full time because they want to get their degrees, they want to go on with their life, that costs a lot. And I know for me personally, each semester for me that I went for both of my degrees at one time, $30,000. Now that's because we get credits for going for two, degrees at one time. Yeah, but normally when you're a dual major, you continue to pursue a dual major degree. But, a lot of men, they can afford that. They can pay off their debt, especially, when they become serial entrepreneurs, businessmen. Same thing with women. But when you want somebody to provide for you, and then you're talking about bringing something to the table, what you have to bring to the table, you have to think about your own personal finances first before you try to dig into someone else's pocket.
And why is this so important? Because today, women have far too many women are too impressed with themselves. Other than that, why do you think a woman who is an average looking, below average physicality, below average weight?
Okay. Did your child's father make $200K?
He made more than that. We made more than that together. Yeah.
Okay. So $200K is what it is. The $100K, you can't even do that.
No.
Laugh. Laughs, child. 100K gets laughs, child.
No, it's not. It gets laughs. Stop it. It's not that. Like 100K is good money. You have to have, like, I just want somebody who is established. Like I said, I'm coming home. I make good money. And I'm not asking for more than what I can give out. Like I definitely on a good year make more than 200. So I just feel like, I'm ready to go to that next level. I don't want to be stagnant. I don't want to rebuild with nobody. I'm sorry. Like, I feel like I did that with my kid's father, where we started from the ground and we worked our way up. So I just want my person to come in and meet me where I'm at, and we just ride the wave up.
Let's do the Kendra Campbell. Like you
Okay.
in good shape already, though. We can kind of tell. You look good.
Thank you.
Like you're small. You're petite.
I'm very petite. I'm 125, 130 on a good day.
Okay.
5'2".
Consider around talking about they're going to hold out. Or wait, what are you waiting for? The answer is what many are waiting for is a sucker.
You said 1 in 4 will marry in the African American community, but let's keep in mind, 80% of divorces, like I said, that are, filed, 75% of those divorces that are filed by women in the African American community as well. So, you be on the danger zone. You might as well go and jump off a cliff, head first at that, in the bottom of a motherfucking coal pit.
Why do you think you're single?
I feel like I'm single because after my relationship with my kid's father, I did not want to jump back into anything and be one of those women who say, okay, the quickest way to get over one is to get under a new one. So I really wanted to take the time and heal. I really wanted to start to get to know me. Because like I said, when I was with my kid's father, we didn't know what we wanted in a relationship. And so I had to, because we were together for quite some time, I feel like I did almost lose myself in that relationship. So I had to get to know me, get to start loving on me as this grown woman that I am with 2 children, learn what I wanted, learn what I don't want, and just take my time because I'm not in a rush. I would rather be single than with somebody who doesn't bring me peace, or who is just, not it. Like, it's not like I can't get them, because I can, but I just don't want them, the ones that I done got.
Okay.
Because those are the suckers, they look at them. Those are the simps, the beta males. That's how they look at them. But throughout their younger years, they want to chase all type of so-called alpha boys because they're making, $1,000 a day selling bags or selling ounces of weed or whatever they're doing out there. Oh yeah, those alpha males. Them dudes don't got fathers either. Them men don't know nothing about being men. That's why they out there in the block. When men have men that know their purpose, they're not going to put their lives in jeopardy. When men want legacies, we're going to plan 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years down the line. Regardless if we have our legacy, we're going to continue to build and strengthen our legacy. Why would you throw it away over making some money? You get locked up, your ass can't even make enough. You didn't even make enough to make bail. Now you got to call on, X amount of women that you was messing with or whatever the case is, and guess what? They ain't answering your phone calls. But those are the type of men you want, Pookie and Ray Ray, right? But then you want to come to your savior. You want to be saved. 3 or 4 season, man. All that hot girl summer shit, that all city girl shit, man, that shit dead. You can't possibly indulge in that to turn around and make one a 6-figure man. You're not going to get a traditional one. You'll get one to blow your back out, but you're not going to get one that's going to put a ring on your finger, so you don't got the options. You got men lined up asking you, marry me, marry me, marry me. You keep saying no, and it's different men like literally bowing down at restaurants. They take you out. They want to introduce you to your family and stuff like that. And these men is around hundreds of people, 30 people, 40 people, but there are witnesses. It's not just a woman say, oh, I had 5 or 6 men propose to me, but where they at? Where did they do it at? Who was there? Oh, it was just us. We was, oh, nah, that shit don't count. You understand what I'm saying? And that's just how far it goes. We don't have to listen. Y'all, they don't own us, regardless if they raise our son, their sons, if you say whatever. Martyr women, they feel they own black men, and that's the problem. They act as if black men aren't supposed to say anything. Man, we're men. Know your role, stay in your lane. We know our role. We're gonna do what we do. We built this country, man. We know how to survive without women. Women cannot survive without men. And I don't care what y'all say or how y'all feel, because the majority of business owners are men, and the men is cutting your motherfucking check. And you always run into a man when you need your bills paid, your sugar daddy. So don't sit there in front. I know what it's hitting from a man. I'm 45. Been there, done that. I'm telling you from experience. Fuck feelings. The outcomes and results. Be more submissive, cooperative, willing, freely, fit, childless if possible. Don't expect another man to accept your ass as a package deal, because we don't have to do that. When a man is in that house with his wife and his son, he's not going to tell his son, yeah, son, it's okay to get with a ready-made family. A single mom would tell her son that shit, though, because she has simps coming in her life raising y'all. And guess what? When she wanted to put his ass out when he lost his job, guess what? Whatever paycheck that man was getting every week or every month, whatever the case was, and all of a sudden because he lost it, yeah, guess where his ass at? Looking for somewhere else to stay. So just cut all this bullshit out. You can't possibly sit there and tell me you would treat a provider male like that. Okay, baby, yes, you have to be conditional, selective about this shit. Man, we want wives, traditional wives, not no GMO type shit. No eyelashes, all that weave shit, all that getting your body pumped the fuck up, and years later your ass in the hospital, man. We talking about natural shit. The way your ass was born, the way you look when you hop out the shower. That's what we talking about. What can men do to alter their appearance like that? If a man is 5'8", he can't make himself 6 feet the way you like it. If that man is 235 pounds right now, but you like a man that's 185 and 6 feet, he can't lose weight in 2 or 3 months like that. So y'all born with y'all value, man. We have to make ourselves valuable. So why should we invest all that work to raise another man's kids? And don't you know nowadays being a stepfather, you know how many women now can take a man to court for being a stepfather now? And then when they break up, they can have that man pay child support for a kid that's not even his? You want to talk about that? You want to talk about fairness and unity? Let's talk about the men that's been dealing with these modern women sleeping around. And they got 4 or 5 different men coming to the show for 2 or 3 different kids. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how a woman can give up her rights as a mother and give her kid up for adoption. But a man can't. A man can't even give up his rights to a kid. Like, listen, I told her not to do it. You know, we were sleeping around, whatever, the kind of broke, we didn't prepare for this. But her, no, I want to be loved. I want a kid. I need something or someone to love me. I didn't have this, that, and the third or whatever, but you bring a kid into the shit. And when that man not there, now you want to talk shit about that man, but that man already told your ass what it was hitting for. But now you want to shame, insult, guilt, and blame. Now you want to shame, insult, guilt, and need to be right about some shit. You didn't know nothing. You still don't know nothing. That's why you don't got nothing. Not the man you want. You can have all the money you want, but your ass still feel empty. And that's why you're mad. Your pride. Yes, women, y'all have egos too. Your ego. You've been raised as an individual. I don't need a man. I went to college. I got degrees. I'm more valuable. No, you're not. You can't say that shit to a man that have degrees. You can't say that shit to a man that has money, has his own businesses as well. The man that you desire after. You can't say shit to that man. You can't say nothing but cooperate. Interdependency. Fuck all that independent shit. You waited too long. Your time is over. Discount or die alone. I'm going to tell you that. And this is your host. I tell you what. I'll set some tallest. And I won't be all aggressive like that. But it is what it is. This shit need to be heard, need to be told, need to be listened. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. All that shit you was taught, it was a lie. Try it a different way. Then learn the truth about what men are, what we supposed to be. Let us tell you who we are. We tell you, what the roles are. You know what I'm saying? Y'all didn't. Man, listen, it don't go like that. It don't. That's why men aren't dating, not traditional, man. They're not going out there simping, doing all that shit. Fruity, you my dude. They're not spending millions of dollars on women just to still be sitting there looking at that shit as a loss. Huh? $3 million. Most men and most women would never see that. Them, they family, they relatives combined won't even see that type of money throughout the course of all their lifetimes combined. But one man did that, pretending to multiple women. And look where he was, sitting right there talking to Kevin Samuels. And that man is wealthy, a multi-millionaire. So I said, it's not about the money. It's about the needs, the wants, the desires, and why you want the man you want. It's because of his financial stability. But you're not right. You will get it together.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my talk, my podcast. Some of you might like what I say. Then again, some of you might not. But I don't give a fuck. And I really don't. But thanks for listening, ladies and gentlemen. And this is your host on Wisdom and your host on Sigma Male Diaries, Nigel McKnight. Y'all stay safe and be blessed. Yeah.